Q&A. I'm going to be here talking about mindset today. Mindset matters. You'll hear that a lot. You will see that a lot. It's hashtagged a lot. To be honest, we talk about it at Codebreak in our own content a lot as well, because you can have the best knowledge in the world. You can learn loads about business, about sales, about marketing, but if you don't have the confidence and the discipline to execute it, you're ice skating uphill. And obviously that's pretty difficult. So I'm not a mental health expert, to be clear. When I say mindset matters, I'm talking about the importance of positivity, the importance of a good work ethic, and how to be productive for your business, which also, to be honest, encroaches upon our personal lives, because especially for me and my co-director Joel, there's no real sort of work-life balance. That's what we used to do, right? We must work 9 to 5, and then the rest is just, it's life, it's personal time. Whereas for us as business owners now, it's all one. There's loads of grey areas, which means, okay, maybe we don't switch off totally all the time, but it means we might want to work on a Saturday, but then we'll have Tuesday off, whatever it might be. Work is too important, and to be honest, we enjoy it too much to switch off for it like 8 hours a day. So work-life balance, you can switch between the two, and mental health, positivity, how you think, it's obviously hugely important. Whereas a lot of time when we talk about the importance of marketing, which is crucial, because you need to get out there, you need to remind people of why you do what you do and how you can help them. So you won't have a business without effective marketing. But again, if you haven't got the mindset to execute your business properly, to help people properly, then at some point you fall down. So to be honest, we're actually launching a brand new video series about mindset. So not so much the marketing, the mindset side of things. So do watch out for that one. That will be exciting. So had some questions here that Evie's printed off for us. Evie's over there, safety distance at least 1.5 meters. She's edging away, maybe 2 meters now. So we've had some questions fired in over our social. If you've got any questions, do feel free to pop them into the comments. And if we can't deal with them now, after the live, I'll get onto them right for you and answer them as best as I can. So questions about mindset and a business mindset, the importance of a good business mindset. A question from a lady called Sarah Jameson. Hello, Sarah. Do you recommend any books to start reading about mindset? Okay, well, the guys here are probably sick and tired of me going on about how important it is to always be reading, always learning. Massive bookshelf over there. And to be honest, everything we need to know about business, about sales, marketing, everything is on that bookshelf. So yeah, books, absolutely massively important. So there's a guy called Brian Tracy. I think he's pretty active on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, he's worth a follow. He wrote a great book that, to be honest, when someone joins our team, it's one of the first books we encourage them to read, called Eat That Frog. Did we give that one to you? Yeah, brilliant. And Eat That Frog, it's all about managing your time effectively and prioritizing your task. And it's called Eat That Frog because it's like, if the worst thing you have to do in a day is eat a frog, when would you choose to eat that frog? So I eat it first thing, and then you can get on with the rest of your day. So, but he's written another book called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. It's very easy to digest. It's easily readable. It's got lots of positive life affirmations. It discusses the psychology of the way things happen, how childhood can affect you in adulthood. So it sounds really deep and confusing, but it's not. It's a really simple, interesting read. So Brian Tracy, to be honest, haven't read anything bad about him. Really, really smart guy. And be honest, if I can understand his writing, then anyone can. Another good book for you, Stephen Covey. Sarah, he wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, to be honest, he's probably written other books, but this is the one he's famous for. He basically looked and studied at very successful business people and looked for the commonalities, and he found these 7 things they all had in common. And to be honest, when you think about it, it's actually common sense, isn't it? Maybe you've got peers in business, you look up to certain entrepreneurs, you will find similarities between them. And let's face it, if you follow 5 super successful entrepreneurs who are very successful, they're very ethical, and they align with your values, and they've all got some things in common, it makes sense for you to emulate those commonalities as best as you can as well. So Really good book to keep referring back to, and there is like a workbook version of the 7 habits where you can actually sort of fill it in yourself, all about habits and changes and how to start implementing them in life, which sort of brings me on, handily enough, Sarah, to another book by called Rob Moore, who you've probably heard me talking about before. Rob Moore, a very successful entrepreneur, and he specialises in property, does a lot of property management advice. But he's written many a book. In fact, what was the first book? Life Leverage. That's it. I was going on holiday quite a few years ago, and I was just browsing through the business section in the bookshop at Birmingham Airport, and I saw this book called Life Leverage, and I bought it, and it was a brilliant read. I've been a big fan of Rob Moore ever since, and Life Leverage is all about how you can leverage different tools and processes out there to make you more effective in less time, which is, let's face it, who doesn't want that? But one of his most recent books is called Start Now, Get Perfect Later, and this is a fantastic book for people who procrastinate. Procrastinate. I mean, did you read that book on procrastination? No, I'll get onto it tomorrow. Old joke for you there. But procrastinate. Looks like I'm laughing at my own joke. I know I'm not that funny. I'm just laughing at Evie's reaction now. So it's a book called Start Now, Get Perfect Later. There are so many excuses why in business why you don't get round to doing something. Maybe it's launching a business. Maybe it's launching a new service, a new initiative. Maybe it's building that new web page for your website that you've been meaning to do for ages. And there are certain things that always get put onto your I'll do that tomorrow pile, and that's just got to be eliminated, whether it is by improving your knowledge and reading books like Start Now, Get Perfect Later, or employing people to help you with your workload, because there are some things that are so important. They might be boring, but they need to get done. But because they're boring, you think, well, I'm not going to get round to it. I'll do it tomorrow. But no, it's got to be like eat that frog. Get it done now, then you won't have to do it later. One of my first bosses told me that. Very wise man. Okay, Sarah, we got other questions here, but one more book for you. Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, Total Recall. Now, even though a lot of people talk about business reading, they think that literally has to be a business book. Some of the best business advice you can get about business, sales, accounting, but mindset as well. Nothing to do with business. They are people's biographies who aren't necessarily business people. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, well, best known for being an actor, but then naturally he was very successful politically. And he is, I guess, in his own right, a successful business person as well. Not a lot of people know or realise that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a millionaire before his first film came out. I think his first sort of starring film was like Conan the Barbarian in the early 80s. But by that point, he was already a millionaire through property investment. Really wise man. But if you want to read a book about the importance of a good mindset and a work ethic, then Total Recall is a fantastic book. I mean, there's one story, and it's about when he got to America, his English wasn't at the level it needed to be. So he wanted to go to like a Californian college and take some English classes. But because he was an immigrant, there was a law that immigrants could only, have 10 hours of study at a college a week. So what Arnie did was like sign up to 4 different colleges. So he'd do 10 hours at one college, 10 hours at another, and it's like, my goodness me. So most people, of course, they wouldn't bother doing that. They just do their 10 hours at one college. So he really put those hours in, and he's got some great snippets of information to share about how to get one over ethically on your competitors. Little cheats and hacks he has to get one over mentally over his competitors. So, you know, one of his key pieces of advice is sleep 7 hours a night. Everyone else sleeps 8 hours. You only really need 7 hours. You talk 6 hours, 5 hours, that's not enough. 7 hours sleep, you've already got an hour up on your competitors. So if you're going to bed at 11, you can, get up at 6 a.m., do your exercise, do your reading, listen to your podcast, whatever it might be, spend breakfast with your children and still get to the office before 9 o'clock. So this book is just full of little tidbits like that. So that's a very long answer to your question, Sarah, but those are hopefully 4 great reads for you. Another one, Debbie Richards. Why is it important to always keep on top of developing personal skills and relationships in work and home life? Well, Debbie, to be honest, I think that comes back to learning. Always learning. That's another hashtag you'll see Codebreak using a lot. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether it's 20 or 80. And Henry Ford said that 5 million years ago, whenever it was, but it's so true. We're always learning. We've always got to be developing and progressing, because underneath it all, there are only really 3 things that are important in life, which is health, relationships, and wealth. And wealth, that's going to open up a debate for some people about how much money you need to be happy, but it does have to play a part. And obviously none of it is worth a pinch of salt if you haven't got the health to enjoy it. And you want to enjoy your good health and your wealth and your time with other people. So relationships are important as well. And we can learn about this stuff the hard way by living life and making mistakes and hopefully not repeating those mistakes. Or we can read some books and learn from people who we admire, who are ethical, who have been there, done that. So it's hugely important, whether it's improving the relationship you have with your partner, whether it's being more productive at work. Without repeating myself, literally everything is on the bookshelf. And there'll be, like with anything, there'll be a book or a podcast you'll listen to, and maybe some of it isn't relevant, but most stuff will provide you with at least one nugget that, as long as it's actually implemented rather than just listened to, implementation is key. That's why we bang on about people who go to seminars and attend all these expos and pay fortunes to go on courses. It's great learning all this stuff, but again, you've got to execute it, which brings us back to why mindset is important. Knowing stuff is just half the battle. So yeah, always learning. And some of the best books I've read, there was one called by a guy called Felix Dennis, who is no longer with us, but he was a very wealthy, very famous publisher, and he became so wealthy that the moral of his book is basically you don't want to be super rich, because then you've got lawyers after you, you've got ex-partners after you, you've got accountants after you. He just ended up on an island like painting, and that was like the happiest he's ever been. He had a great book about attitude and about mindset. So there's another book for you, Sarah. But Debbie, Felix Dennis was saying he was always learning, even though he was there in his 60s painting on his island. He was still reading, he was still watching YouTube series, listening to podcasts, always learning. Because, like I said way back at the beginning, mindset isn't just about what we do in the office. Mindset should how we approach life and hopefully make us better, more productive people overall, because if we're more productive, we can probably help more people. I got really deep there, blimey, not like me at all there, Evie. Right, question from Grace here. What are the first steps to getting yourself into a positive business mindset? I've recently set up my own small business. Awesome move, Grace, brilliant. You've overcome the biggest hurdle already. There are so many wonderful, positive people out there who can run fantastic businesses, but they never overcome that fear to do it in the first place. So well done on that. I've recently set up my own small business, but I want to improve the way I see and think about things. Okay, so.
Hi, Joel and Andy here. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're loving sharing our marketing tips with you.
If you'd like to kickstart your marketing, why not jump on a discovery call? Simply visit codebreak.co.uk and apply there. Hopefully speak to you soon.
Take care.
If I go back to when I set up a business, one of the first things I would have told my younger self, my much younger self, is to surround yourself with positive people. And I don't mean people who go around like clapping with cymbals on their hands all the time. I mean just positive, uplifting people who make you feel better and who encourage success. You are allegedly the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So that could be, that could be your family, that could be friends, that could be your social media followers. Joel and I talked about that a while ago, about the people you allow into your social media circles. They count as well. So if you find yourself moaning about Facebook, oh, it's all full of doom and gloom, it's all full of fake news and shit, well, you have chosen to let those Facebook friends into your life. So, if you don't want to hurt their feelings by unfriending them, just unfollow them so you won't see their crap anymore. We do have a choice with social media. We have to take responsibility for that. So, okay, there might be ads popping up that you've got no control over, but you can obviously opt out of those ads and report them for Facebook if they're contravening any kind of ethics, any of those kind of things. So you do have some responsibility, and to be honest, that's a big learn in itself, realizing there is so much that we are responsible for ourselves. So most weeks I'll see someone moaning about LinkedIn or moaning about Facebook. Oh, Facebook's full of fake news. Oh, LinkedIn is full of idiots. Well, well, you're the one who bloody chose to connect with those idiots. So just unconnect with them. So that's really important, Grace. You surround yourself with positive people. And the three things we tend to follow in terms of who do we follow, who do we allow into our lives, who do we allow into our social media circles, and to be honest, what kind of content do we put out ourselves as a business? They're these three things. They've got to educate, inspire, or entertain. And if one of those boxes ain't ticked, you don't really want them in your life, to be honest. Now, I understand that can be hard if it's your mum or your dad, but it's your mum who's constantly bringing you down. You probably can't cut your mum out of your life, but maybe you do have to limit the amount of time you spend with her, because especially, Grace, if you've invested lots of time, effort, and probably money into launching a business, it would be a crying shame if you let someone else into your head or into your business that is going to do your damage. So definitely surround yourself with uplifting people, and without wishing to repeat myself, read. And if you don't like reading, whatever learning platform works for you, podcast, YouTube, Audible, whatever floats your boat. So when I'm in the car, I don't listen to my dodgy 80s playlists anymore. I will listen to podcasts. I will listen to the Rich Roll podcast, who's got about 500 podcast episodes out there. I will listen to our own podcast. I hardly feature our own podcast. It's one or more of the guys, so I want to listen to what they've got to say and hear their business advice and relearn and continue to educate myself, because sometimes learning isn't about learning something new. It's about being reminded of something you have known but have forgotten or just not got around to doing. So being reminded about stuff is almost as important as learning when it comes to getting this right. So hopefully that's some good advice to you, Grace. Next question now. Daniel Perry. My business is going through a tough time. Sorry to hear that, Daniel. Obviously, yeah, a lot of people in a similar boat to you there. My business is going through a tough time, as are so many other businesses right now. Do you have any simple tips for easing people back into the positive mindset they were previously in? Right. Okay. So you said simple tips. Okay, that makes it a bit more difficult. But a simple tip would be to limit your own news exposure. It's got to start with you. Change, progression has to start with you and your business. So a mistake a lot of people make at the very beginning of the day is they set their radio to be their alarm. So their alarm will go off, and most people who do that, they set it to go off on the hour. So it will go off at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. whenever, 8 a.m. if they're really lazy. And so the first thing they will hear is the news. And let's face it, the news ain't cheery. Good news doesn't sell newspapers or radio advertising. So don't wake up to the news. So if I set my alarm and it's going to be the radio, I will set it for 5:55 a.m. or 6:05 a.m. So the radio goes off, I'm listening to a song or the DJ speaking, and then I'll get up. I won't start my day listening to the news, because straight away that's going to put me in a bad mindset. Now I prefer to consume my news online, which also gives me the choice. Like we talked about, it's your choice who you let into your social media circles, Daniel. It's also can be your choice what kind of news you want to read. So I want to read news about business, about entrepreneurship, and about cinema, running, fitness, health, that kind of stuff. So I will use my news app on my phone to only receive news relating to the things I'm actually interested in. So you can take control, and to flip that, you then put out content along a similar line. So your content has to be positive. I'm not saying rose tinted that everything's wonderful, recession, it's not going to happen, don't worry, and we're going to find a vaccine for COVID tomorrow afternoon. So I don't mean that being rose tinted, but being positive and confident. And to be honest, not incessantly bitching and whining. There's been so much of that over lockdown. And it can be difficult not to listen to the doom mongers, to all those armchair experts out there who's saying, I've got a second cousin twice removed in the NHS, and he said, no, you can't listen to shit like that. So if you want tips for easing people back into a positive mindset, look at the people in your circle, the people in your social media circles, and decide the kind of content you need to put in front of them. And I'm not saying you go and lie about them or find these rose-tinted stories, but the content you put out has to be realistic, but has to be positive, has to be uplifting. And to come back to a previous answer, it has to educate, inspire, or entertain. And if your content always ticks one of those 3 boxes, the people in your circles, hopefully your attitude will start rubbing off on them. So hopefully that helped, Daniel. Last question you'll be pleased to hear. Alex Mayfield. Oh, sounds like a similar question really. But getting stressed out with business, understand that. I'm a positive person and feel my mindset is okay, but my Breathe app is going off all the time. Perhaps I'm more frustrated with all the stuff I see on social media and people making a shit. This is really hard to say. Perhaps I get more frustrated with all the stuff I see on social media and people making a shit situation shitter. Wow, that is really difficult to say. Easier to type, Alex, I imagine. So have you got any ideas? So again, I should stress, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health practitioner. So I can say if you are genuinely stressed a lot, Alex, God, reach out to a professional, speak to a professional. If you're talking about, getting anxiety and frustration and perhaps even anger about business, I felt the same when it looked like lockdown was going to happen, but still you're kind of hoping it's not going to happen, and then it does, bam, overnight, like things go tits up totally. Can I say that? Probably not. Pear-shaped. Probably should have said that. Sorry, Mum, if you're watching. So when things went south overnight, it affected Codebreak. And believe me, Joel and myself, we've been through the denial, anger, crying with their tears. Could have been. We went through all that cycle, but we have to come back to control the controllables, which is, and that's another book to be honest, Will It Make the Boat Go Faster by Ben Hunt Davis, I think. A really good book. And he always talks about control the controllables. Lockdowns happened, nothing we can do about it. I ain't going to be able to come up with a vaccine. I've got to control what I can control. So me and Joel had to take stock of the clients who stayed with us, and many of them did, but some literally just dropped us like that, and that's okay. All I can say is that one that stayed with it, we got a hairdresser client, for example. They've got a number of salons, obviously not allowed to trade. They couldn't trade. They carried on marketing with us, and now they're back open and they're fully booked for weeks in advance, where some of their competitors aren't going to be able to reopen because they marketed themselves during the bad times. And marketing shouldn't be a seasonal thing. It's not a case of, oh, business is shit, let's do marketing, or business is great, we don't have to do any marketing. One of marketing's jobs is to flatten out those peaks and troughs and keep it a constant, because you never know what's around the corner, whether it's good times or bad times. But to be honest, that's probably another Facebook Live all in itself. So we've been there as well, Alex. Believe me, my Breathe app was going off all the time. The battery was dead by 11 in the morning. So I feel you. Again, limit your news exposure. That can help. I thought it was a bit hippy dippy stuff, but I downloaded the Calm app. So there's a few that are similar. There's Calm, there's Headspace, there's a few like that. So I paid to download the Calm app, and I would do some meditation. And to be honest, a lot of the successful people I look up to, they will meditate. And I don't mean sitting there cross-legged and, doing chants or anything like that, but just switching off, listening to what's happening on this Calm app. And I've got to be that really helped, because my Breathe app was indeed going off all the time. I also upped my exercise. Exercise, I think, can really help so many situations. In fact, I read a quote the other day, some American doctor, and he said something like, there is no health condition where physical exercise is not going to be a benefit. And exercise, great. So even though I'd go to the gym a lot, couldn't do that anymore. I can lift weights at home. That's a bit boring, isn't it? So I run a little bit, and I just started running a lot. Started biking a lot, and that really helped. And I also found within the running community, there's quite a few people who have to deal with stress and anxiety and mental health issues, and it seems to be quite a tight-knit community, a very supportive community. So big fan of exercise, and that can really help with mental stress, I believe. And I've got to be honest, also changed my diet. Whether it's true or not a doctor, not a few nutritionists, but I think by cutting out lots of the crap, I'm pretty much 90% plant-based, and I've never felt so good. I feel like I was 21. I wish I looked like I was 21, but there's only so much an aubergine can do. That's probably a bad vegetable to use. It's all going wrong, Evie. It's all going wrong. And last tip that I found really beneficial, and when you're getting stressed out, put your phone away. So many people I know can't even have a meal without their phone next to them. And my dad, he only had one, when he started getting ill, he passed away. He only had one regret towards the end of his life. And it's probably a regret a lot of people my dad's generation had, is that he didn't feel he spent enough time with myself and my brother when we were kids. And so I was determined that when I had children, I would spend lots of time with them. But I sort of realised quite recently that I have spent a lot of time with them, but have I spent enough quality time with them? Because I'm not always on my phone, but it's there, monitoring clients' social media accounts, whatever it might be. If you can put your phone away and spend time with your friends and family without being disturbed, without those sexy little notifications going off, oh, I must jump onto that, oh, who sent me an email, who sent me a text message, who sent me an Instagram direct message, who sent me a LinkedIn request, all that shit. It's important from a work point of view. You've got to be at least semi-contactable. You can't just get back to an inquiry 48 hours later. That's just a fact. People won't wait around that long. But you don't have to be a slave to your phone either, and sometimes you can train people the wrong way. If you get back to their Facebook message within seconds, guess what? You are training them that you will respond to their Facebook messages within seconds, and there'll be that one time when you're playing with your kids and you don't get to your phone and you've got someone who's just sending you question marks, as in like, why haven't you got back to my message? I messaged you over 5 minutes ago. Usually you're so prompt, and you can dig a hole for yourself. So if you can put your phone away and spend proper quality time away from it once in a while, I think you'll find that will just, in terms of headspace, really help. Anyway, I don't know how long that's been now, 25 minutes. That's not too bad, is it? That's all right. Hopefully you're all still awake and have learned something. We'll be here next week. I don't know what Joel's going to be talking about, but we will announce it on social media, and obviously we can then encourage and welcome any questions you have, and we'll address 4 or 5 of them live next Tuesday at 2:00. So I hope everyone's having a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you very soon.